If we finish this interview, Emory, and we walk out and your dad is standing, what would you tell him?
Wow. Of course, I'd have to tell him I love him. I'd have to tell him he was right about everything, because when he was alive, of course, or when you're younger, you don't appreciate how right your parents are until you get older and you realize. And I know what he'd reply. He'd say, of course I was right, son. I fucking told you. And I say, yeah, I know. It's a really good question. I think I'd just have to validate the fact that he was right about everything, tell him I love him very much. And then probably the pragmatic question would be, how long are you here for? Are you back for good, or is this a temporary meeting? I don't know. But I'm going to be a little bit nervous walking out that door now. I know it's not going to happen, but you got me hopeful.
Andrew Tate has always spoken about his father with great respect. In this interview, he gets emotional when asked this question and explains what kind of man his father was and why their bond is so deep.
I think your dad, Emory, would be proud of you if he saw you today?
100% he would.
Really?
100% he would. There's no doubt about it. And he'd be proud of me because when we'd play chess, sometimes we'd be playing chess and I'd be in a losing position. And he'd say, are you winning or losing? I'd say, I'm losing. He said, well, how can we win this game? And I'd say, well, I can sacrifice my queen on this square. And I see that it's a check, and he takes with the knight, and then I can pin the knight with the bishop, and I've got the rook putting pressure on it, and he can't really defend it, so I'll get the knight back on the next move. But I can't calculate enough. I can't see that. I'm thinking like 6 or 7 moves ahead, but it's getting complicated now, and there's so many variables. I can't see the end. I don't know if this move works. And Dad would say, yeah, but if you don't try it, you're definitely going to lose. You're going to lose this game. He's just going to keep grinding you down until you guaranteed lose. Or you can take a big risk and perhaps lose, but you were going to lose anyway, but you'll lose faster, but perhaps pull off the most marvelous victory in history. So what move are you going to make, son? And this is the way I approach my life.
Maybe he's here.
He's around.
There is always, for me, I always come back to a point where I say, Anas, you don't know shit in life. You don't know if they can hear you. You don't know if their energy. You don't know what is the soul. You don't know if they're gone forever. Like, you actually don't know. So just shut up and say, maybe.
I see him in my dreams. He's around. I don't know exactly where. I don't know exactly how. I'm excited to find out. Perhaps this is how, in the future, when we talk about dying and they talk about how crazy we are for being able to deal with the fact we were going to die, perhaps this is how we cope with the idea, but I don't believe he's gone. There's no way he's gone, because I feel him and I talk to him and I see him in my dreams like I've never seen or felt or talked to anyone else. I know he's here. I know he's here, and I know he's proud of me.
Glad. You have a big soft spot for him.
Yeah, I don't want to cry on camera. I'll lose my street cred, but hopefully he doesn't have to be outside the door. Hopefully he has heard me say that he was right about everything, but I've told him this privately. I've told him this endless times, and he already knows it. And a lot of the decisions I make to this day, I make with him in mind. The idea to do certain things that perhaps may seem illogical to others, even to my own detriment. A lot of the decisions I make with him in mind. And so far, he's managed to lead me here. I'm about to get on my jet tomorrow and continue with my life. So maybe he knew even more than I knew.
Andrew, in one word.
Indefatigable. One of my favorite words, because it's from my favorite saying, which is my father's saying. My unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. So he's saying my ability to perceive things, perspicacity, my ability to look around and notice things that other people don't notice, coupled with sheer indefatigability, I never get tired. The fact that I notice everything and I never get tired makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. And before I go, I'm going to tell you the story of when he said that. We were in Detroit, Michigan, at the end of a chess tournament. I must have been about 10 years old. And my dad had played a chess tournament for a couple $1,000, a small level tournament. And he won. He won a couple $1,000. And it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were driving back to Gary, Indiana, where I lived, which was the murder capital of America at the time. And we were in Detroit, Michigan, which wasn't the nicest place either. And we stopped in a gas station about 3 o'clock in the morning. And in the gas station, my dad was at the counter, and I walked around the back to the crisps or the chips to buy some candy or some snacks. My dad had a little bit of money. He said, go buy some snacks. And I heard an altercation at the front. I heard the Mexicans shouting at my dad saying, say that, say what, say what, say what? And when I came around the corner, I saw these 4 Mexicans had jumped my dad, and they were punching him in the face, and my dad was swinging back. I remember he had one of them so close and was biting his face while the other men were hitting him on the head. And he had the guys, I remember it vividly because there was so much blood. He had the guy's cheek in his teeth, holding him up here while the other men were hitting him, and he was just holding him up close. The guy behind the counter started saying, I'm calling the police, I'm calling the police, I'm calling the police. Eventually, the 3 men ran out. My dad lost control of the other guy. They all ran out, and my dad stumbled, and he leant up against the counter. And I've never seen so much blood. I don't know if it was just the other guys. A whole bunch of it was his. It was all pouring down his face where they were hitting him on the top of the head. They'd picked up things from the counter, and they'd hit him. And he was bleeding. He was leaning against the counter. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I was so scared. And he just looked me in the eye, and then he looked back towards the door and was just staring at the door. I guess he expected them to come back in. The guy behind the counter said, I've called the police are coming, I've called the police. A couple minutes later, we hear the sirens, the police turn up, and the sheriff walks in. He said, what happened? And the guy behind the counter said, it's not his fault. They got in an argument, and these 4 guys tried to mug him and rob him, and they attacked him. My dad's now standing there. My father is a bit more sentient now. He's standing upright like this. He's held something on his head for a little while, but there's still blood running down his head. And the police officer said to him, what's your name, sir? And he said, Emory Tate. He said, what's your job? He said, I'm a chess player. And he said, you just fought these 4 Mexicans by yourself. Maybe you should have been something else instead of a chess player. And my dad said, my unmatched perspicacity, coupled with sheer indefatigability, makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. And I remember the sheriff's face, because the sheriff just looked at him like, what the fuck did you just say? Completely confused. And the fact that my dad, with a concussion, he ended up having a broken cheekbone, needed 30 stitches all over his head. The fact that my dad, with a concussion after being jumped, when asked a question, that's how he answered it, is probably the easiest way I can describe the true genius of my father, because that's how he spoke. And I've never heard anyone else with a command of the English language like him to this day. I've watched every podcast on the planet. I've seen all these tech billionaires. I've seen all these geniuses. I've seen everything on the internet. I've never seen anybody speak the way my dad spoke, ever. And I remember that sentence from that day, the age of 10. And I still say it now, all of the time. And if you tell me to sum myself up in one word, it's indefatigable. But truthfully, if I'm allowed a few more words, I would like to say my unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in the realm of human endeavor.
No matter what your opinion is on Andrew Tate, one thing is undeniable. He has always spoken with deep respect about his father, Emory Tate. The strength of the bond between Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate is proof of the values their father instilled in them. The Tate brothers stand united, share a clear worldview, and consistently support each other in public and private. Emory Tate's influence shaped Andrew Tate's mindset, discipline, and approach to life. Whether you agree with Andrew Tate or not, the respect he shows for his father and the brotherhood he maintains with Tristan Tate is something many men today can learn from.